All right. Good morning, brothers and sisters. This morning, while I was in prayer, the Lord told me to go into Revelation 3. And as I read through it, I now understand why. The book of Revelation, I believe, chapters 1 through 4, no, 1 through 3, speak of the seven churches of God. And if you were to read these first three chapters, you're going to realize that everybody falls under one of these churches. So I encourage you all to read it and kind of find out where you're at this season. Remember, where you're at this season doesn't mean where you're at in life. It just means where you're at right now, and you have the ability to change it. You have the ability to repent. And what stood out to me was a reflection of my last season, chapter 3, verses 14 through 22, when he's talking about the lukewarm church. I didn't realize I was lukewarm up until maybe 7 days ago. And this just confirms it today, why I was lukewarm. I'll start in verse 15. He says, I know your works, that you are neither cold nor hot. I could wish you were cold or hot. So then, because you are lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will vomit you out of my mouth. And here's something that I've always known, but I lost focus on, I lost track inside of. God can't stand indecisive people. He doesn't say either you're for me, against me, or kind of like me, sort of, maybe, I think, I feel. No. He's like, either you're for me or against me. Either you do or you don't. Make your yes, yes, and your no, no. A lot of times when people are indecisive, they're living off they're standing behind the shield of fear and not the shield of faith. They want to protect themselves, so they want to be in the middle. Well, if I say yes and I'm wrong, then I'm screwed. Or if I say no and I'm wrong, then I'm screwed. Hey, choose. Whether you're wrong or right, you're going to learn something. Let's just say you're wrong. Well, then God will correct you. And guess what? You'll learn what the right answer is. Lesson taught, lesson learned. Or let's say you make the right decision and you're right. Well, then praise God. It's been confirmed. You are now learning. You're in the learning process of these things. God can't stand indecisive people. So I encourage you all to choose today whom you shall serve. First point. As we go down, God talks about in verse 19, another portion that stood out to me. He says, as many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Therefore be zealous and repent. Now here's the interesting thing. A lot of times when, first of all, it's just whenever God rebukes us and chastens us, we should embrace that. That's just showing us that, you know what? The God's hand is not removed from us. We're still in his hand, and he don't like what we're doing. We're doing bad things as children of God, and he's giving us a little spiritual spanking. So receive it. Recently, I drifted a good minute, and I thought that maybe he's done with me. I think I went too far. And yet, in the midst of my darkness, God just calls, he speaks to me again. And I was like, what? Whoa. What? And he spoke to me again. And I'm like, and I got so excited because I was like, whoa, Daddy still loves me. He didn't cast me out. He loves me, and he's telling me to take step 1 to step 2. So immediately, with all zeal, happiness, and joy, I was able to remove myself from darkness into light by removing a lot of things from my life that I didn't realize were hindering me in my last season. The things I accumulated out of my own feelings and emotions, trying to protect myself from what I thought was the enemy. Zealously, I repented. And I love it. He's rebuking me. He's chastening me. And I see it. And I receive it because I'm not innocent. Yes, I'm guilty of doing wrong things like we all are. But I also know enough to know that when God chastens me, it's because he loves me. I'd rather the Lord spank me and rebuke me than to ignore me. If you ignore people who are doing wrong, there's no love in that. There's no love in that. Open rebuke is better than love carefully concealed. In Proverbs, he says. He says, be zealous and repent. How can someone be zealous in the midst of being reprimanded or spanked? You know what? You just thank God that it's him spanking you and not the world, not man. You thank God that it's him punishing you than man. Better to be in the hands of God than the hands of man. Because in the hands of God, there's still mercy. Not justice, not quite yet. The justice of God towards you has been satisfied on the cross. Remember, when you go before the throne of God, he judges you. It's settled. The blood of Christ covers you. So now we live off of mercy and grace. But repent zealously. Don't be, oh, okay, I know I did wrong, God. But man, knock it off. Take another lap. I get it. And I speak like this because I've been there. Speaking on my own, I've been there. Repent zealously, knowing that, oh man, Daddy still loves me. Thank you, sir, I'm gonna have another swag. Thank you, sir, I'm gonna have another swag. Thank you, sir, I'm gonna have another. It just, take it. Suck it up, buttercup. Take it, because you were wrong. I am wrong. And I love it. I love the fact that he's chastening me, because whether it is good or whether I feel it's good or bad, it don't matter, because in the eyes of God, it's great. It's for my own good. It's for my own good. And thank you, Abba, Father, Abba, Elohim, for loving me enough to correct me and not let me live like a fool. Last portion here, he says this in verse 21. To him who overcomes, I will grant to sit with me on my throne, as I also overcame and sat down with my Father on his throne. To him who overcomes. Overcomes what? Well, we'll find out. But what he's saying here is remain steadfast. Once you repent zealously, and you allow the Father to reprimand you, and he puts you back on stable ground spiritually, and you start doing the work, these attacks are going to come. Violent attacks, whether it is in dreams, whether it is persecution, whether it is through people. Though they surround you, they cannot touch you if you're walking according to his will. As long as you're praying and fasting, you'll see God do a mighty work. He who overcomes the waves and seasons of life that try to knock people down, he who overcomes like Christ overcame. You think about that. What did Jesus go through? Well, he got beat up all night to the beginning of till daylight. Then he got denied by his boys, and then he got whipped, scourged. I mean, to the point where his body was hamburgered up, meat everywhere. And he carried that cross all the way up miles to the hill. Then he got nailed to it. And at any point he could have rebelled. You know what? Screw this. You guys bite me. He didn't. He said, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. And while he was being mocked on the cross, to the left, to the right, one guy's like, hey, why are you doing that? Truly, he is who he says he is. And then in compassion, Jesus said, hey, man, you know what's up. Today you'll be with me in paradise. And he endured the cross. He persevered until he bled out. None of us have gone through that. If you can overcome like he overcame, he says, here, I will grant to sit with me on my throne. So brothers and sisters, I encourage you, this ministers to me. If any of it ministers to you, choose, hot or cold, make a decision. Repent with zeal. Let him chasten you and let him rebuke you, and repent with all zeal. Let him set you back on stable ground, and then knuckle up, buttercup, 10 toes down. Weigh in, get in the fight. Get in the fight of faith. Get in the good fight. And you know what? Don't stop, because there's a wave coming from the enemy. Many mighty men will fall. Many men on earth are going to fall soon. Be careful. All right? Hey, I love you. God bless. Have a great day. Peace be with you. May the joy of the Lord be your strength. And remember, choose wisdom over the world.